the enigmatic, esoteric, ethereal JC Buckawick, the behind the scenes man. You know, it's funny because I get asked about you pretty frequently, you know, because, oh yeah, I do. Between just people like at the meetups, our owners and stuff, it's like people talk to you, but they don't really see you. So I'm kind of looking forward to this opportunity to kind of just have people see your face and kind of hear your perspective. Everybody's heard my perspective on everything.
Yeah.
so
it's about time.
One of the things that I've been curious about is because like I have my own kind of origin story about Vibe and short-term rentals and our partnership and how we got started. And I kind of wanted to hear it from your perspective and what that looked like from your seat.
I mean, where are we starting?
I would say, how did we become like partners? Because we didn't know each other, right? So like, how did that all go down?
So back in the day when we would all meet up at Wegmans for our weekly meetings, I remember, I think it was probably about like 2 or 3 meetings that you and I were both there. And every single time, the only other person besides myself talking about or questioning stuff about STRs was you. So I remember the one time, approaching you and just saying, hey, we should probably get some lunch or breakfast or coffee, whatever the case may be. And we did. We talked about, visions, goals, and decided, let's give it a shot. And what are we at, 5 years later almost?
Yeah, something like that. We're getting up there.
On the radar, it was more like, let's see if we can do some STRs together. Because, obviously it was just a good time for it. And we bought that cabin, worked way harder than we should have on it.
Yeah. I think about it all the time.
I think that the beauty of that mistake was that we got to spend a lot of time together. And within that time is where Vibe was kind of crafted and created in this idea that eventually came to fruition. So
yeah, I agree. Just get a little bit closer there with the mic. But it's funny because like I remember at one point we had this idea of, the cabin was kind of debacle, right? And we were sanding the logs because I think we were going to stain it. We wanted to keep it original and we had to paint it anyway. I'm like sitting there sanding these logs and I'm like, man, if I had all this time, like the opportunity cost of the time that this is taking us when we could be investing this time into something else, like this short-term rental management thing we've been discussing, I feel like I could have 5 or 10 clients by now, And I remember eventually like we kind of talked about it like, let's do it. Like, let's hire out the rest of the work and let's see what the management side of things can do for us.
Yeah, well, I would say it took a couple more years to convince you on the hiring out people.
That part, I will say I was slow. We did hire the workout at the cabin.
We did, yeah.
But hiring well, it's funny. Like it's hard to relinquish control when you start a business. It's your baby. You know what I mean? And I will say for me, one of the best things I did as an owner was that. And you were definitely the driving force behind that. Like you were the one that was like, hey, we need VAs. Hey, we need a maintenance man. Hey, you were always the push. So it's funny because that kind of leads organically into another question that I have. What do you look for? Like when we're trying to grow our team and we're trying to get our preferred vendors, what are the things that you look for and you go, that's our person?
Well, I don't think I'm qualified enough to talk on that to our people because 90% of them, you've kind of been the deciding factor. I've kind of somehow found them to guide to you.
That's the interesting part. You did find them.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just people fall in your lap at the right time, I guess.
It is weird, right? Because I'm the guy, I've been having to fight JC for the spotlight at Vibe for years here.
I wouldn't say that.
I say that facetiously. Definitely a person that does not want to be seen. So even having you come here and do this is surprising. I didn't know if I would be able to pull it off.
It's taken a couple months.
So very shocking that you were the one to be like the networker that brought us our most valuable assets.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's funny too, because like my networking is not your typical, like I stopped going to the meetups, like not because I don't like them. I just time wise, it's just not really something I can accomplish along with, work, family, kid. But the untraditional routes have been like literally how I found Dave was sitting in my mechanic's office in the waiting room and sparked up a conversation with the guy waiting for his truck and got to talking, and he, was interested in the businesses and took my number. And next thing I know, like, he's like, if I got anybody to throw your way, I'll send them your way. And Dave called like 3 weeks later.
I know, it's so funny. And it's funny because it's different, but there is so much equal utility in that. Like just sitting down and talking to people. It's hard because at times it can feel a little uncomfortable. Like you're being braggadocious. Like, I got this business and I'm doing this thing. It's like, if you don't tell people what you do, how are they going to know how they might be able to help you? Yeah. Or vice versa. So I'm a huge advocate of that. And just like telling everybody what you're up to for attracting resources to yourself, holding yourself accountable, or maybe delivering that value to somebody else. As far as the STR management business goes, I feel like, and I'll tell you, man, when I went to the STR Wealth Conference, when I told other people in our space about our growth, they were all like taken back quite a bit. Mm-hmm. There was nobody that I had any type of conversation with that had the growth that we have had at Vibe. Doesn't mean it was always good growth, right? It could be because they're being more selective about their property, stuff like that, which we are now. But in that time period, what has been like the most surprising thing to you about the STR management business?
Most surprising, I would say, I don't know if anything it's a hard one to answer. I guess the biggest thing that was a surprise in the beginning which really led into the reason why I made such a hard push for us to hire out, was because getting calls at 2:00 in the morning from a drunk guest that can't figure out how to push their code right blew my mind. Yeah. And like, I just knew because you are way more protective of your time than I am. Yeah. Like, I'm the type of person where if my phone rings at 2:00 and I see it, I can't roll over and ignore it. Like, I have to pick it up.
Shut down, man.
Yeah.
It's game over.
You are way better at that. And that was part of the driving force for me too, was like, there was some stuff in the beginning where, I didn't have the clear answer to it. So I needed you.
Yeah.
At 2:00 in the morning when I'm texting you like, please answer your phone. I'm like, oh man, we need to get somebody else to do this. Isn't working. Yeah. Needed to. So that was it was a surprise as to like how often that was happening, and, how quickly it would push us to kind of move to that next step.
Yeah. So. No, it's funny because I'll just kind of, I want to lead into this next question because I think I'm going to know your answer. But before I kind of like go into what you just said, what's like the worst moment that you remember with Vibe? Like just overall, like maybe like the worst decision, the worst moment. Does anything come to mind?
Yeah.
What is it?
Taking on those one clients. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
The co-hosting deal? Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. Okay.
Is that what you thought I was going to say?
Yeah. Because when I was writing this, I didn't know if it was something that enough time has passed that the wound has healed and you may have forgotten about. But
I wouldn't say the wound was ever open. It being called, an unprofessional asshole, sorry for my language, was the most surprising thing to me when the operation that they were trying to run and have us do for them was just so far off my ethical scale that I was just like, 100%. How did we get to this point? Like, we need to get out of this.
I'll take accountability on that. But it was so exciting. Like, okay, so just because this will be an interesting thing to go into actually, because I think people can learn a lot from this. So when you're starting off in the management, co-hosting, whatever, it's really exciting when people call your phone and you see the fruits of your labor reveal themselves. And like one of the big ways that we were able to build our client base was just kind of what I was doing on social media, the Facebook groups and stuff. And when someone cold calls you and they go, look, I got a big portfolio. It's bringing in 350 grand a year. I want you to manage it. You go, I'm your guy, right? And you don't really ask questions. I didn't really ask as many questions as I should have. And they explained to me at the time, they go, look, part of what we do, we charge people a management fee. And it's like $50 every time someone books. And that ensures that they're going to have resources available to them during their stay. And I go, and we're still pretty new in the business. I go, that makes sense to me. Like, I can kind of get on board with that. If they get locked out, the maintenance guy shows up, because we made it very clear to them, like, look, we don't live in Philly. We don't live in North Carolina. What are we going to do about that? So to me, it was like the answer to that question.
Yeah.
In reality, what they were doing is, and I don't even know if this is possible on Airbnb anymore, and we discovered this after we took these clients on, they were locking people in to a booking without offering in a strict booking policy, and then retroactively applying the fee. And it wasn't a $50 fee, it was a $50 a night fee. So it was essentially what we were being able to ask to do was trap people into these bookings they didn't want to be in. Which you and I, like when we started, I think the first conversations we had were of like an ethical and moral basis.
Absolutely.
And you and I are very much in alignment on that type of stuff, which is like, I think one of the key things I appreciate about our partnership. And we were both like, this is no good. Like, we were immediately looking for an out, but yeah, that I figured that was going to be your answer. That was rough. I remember one time I got a call, and it was probably like 10, 11 p.m. And it was, they are shooting out here, and there was gunshots in the background. I'm like, this is done. Like,
Partially.
yeah. So lesson learned, right? So when we talk about vibe, and obviously, like, we're proud owners, we're proud of what we do. What do you think is it that sets us apart from other management companies?
Well, I think that this is kind of my opinion, obviously, but we really try to put our customers first, whether it be owners or guests. Like me and you, obviously we're out to make money, but at the end of the day, we've kind of both agreed, like, doing the right thing by the people that we're trying to serve is more important than chasing the dollar. And I think really that has been kind of like the dividing factor of us versus other companies.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to kind of like hidden fees, contractual agreements that were kind of probably more predatory than anything. So
Yeah.
I really think that that's kind of where we've tried to stand out the most.
Yeah.
And, you do, I commend you on your sales part in this whole endeavor, because I'm one of the people that are still like pretty astonished at the growth that we've had. And I can't take any claim for that, obviously. Like, that's something where each month I just kind of look at the books and I'm just like, oh, geez, well, we're doing a lot more this month. All right. Cool.
Yeah. I appreciate that, man. And we're never going to be like some companies that it's like, we only take on 6-figure plus properties. I personally don't want that. I don't think you want that. We want to make sure that if we have smaller yielding properties, they're quality and that people are going to be excited. People like us, regular mom and pop, want to get with their family. And if it's a $400 a night property, great. But is it going to be, are they going to be happy to stay there? That's really what we're after. But we turned down a lot. A lot.
Yeah, but even at that, like, and to your point there, it's like, you don't have to have a super host property or I shouldn't say super, but like a super property sleeping 16 to 25 guests. Like, if you have a nice 2-bedroom house, obviously it's not like the most prettiest thing on the scale of things financially, but as long as your house has the right amenities, as you've harped for years now, you can be super successful. And it's really like, those are the people that I always have tried to push towards, or I guess push you in the direction of like, hey, we need to find people that are like willing to create the experience that we're trying to push out to the guest.
Yeah.
And really, if they're not on board with that, they're not in alignment with what Vibe thinks. And therefore, like, we need to kind of rethink our decisions on how we're going to operate there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is something that I get a lot of pressure. And I think maybe this is definitely one of the reasons I think I am a little bit more protective of my time. Like, for one, I'm a gigantic baby about sleep. It's like, you have a kid, and I want kids one day, and I'm deathly afraid of what that's going to look like, because I'm telling you, man, if I'm operating on 5 hours of sleep, I'm useless. Yeah. And I'm like, for you, that's probably every day of the week.
5 hours would be a luxury.
That is insane to me, right? But the other reason I'm really protective of my time, especially my sleep time, is because I just feel immense pressure from all sides, kind of being on the front of the operation, from guests, from clients, from the employees. And it it gets rough. And one of the things that our clients will pressure me on is like, I want to make more money. And I'm like, I hear you. I want you to make more money as well, because if you make more money, so do I. It's a great symbiosis. But the data is the data, and there is no piece of data, there is no tool that would be useful in that endeavor that we don't have at Vibe. We have it all. So here it is. Now all we know what we can do is what can we add to increase that revenue? And it's been really great because a lot of our clients are coming around on that, adding the important things like hot tubs. And as much as hot tubs can be a pain and they gross a lot of people out, and like you and I never set out to be in the hot tub maintenance business. That was not something we did. So it's like, let's create a vertical and make extra money. It was out of pure necessity that we did that.
Yeah.
Because if we're telling our clients like add this amenity and then we have nobody to take care of it, and B, if they can take care of it, are they going to show up when a guest is there and there's a problem? Are they going to work around our schedule? So in good conscience, it's like kind of have to if we're going to advocate for this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, to that point, kind of goes back into my point of trying to serve them is like even our employees, right? Like I bet Dave never thought he'd be operating in the space of fixing hot tubs as much as he does, or servicing them. But, just trying to make sure that we have the right people in place to do what needs to get done to obviously help those.
Interesting thing you brought up, and I know we've had these conversations before, is what is that line? Because like we've been so blessed with our team and our staff, and it's so hard to ride that line of what they are willing to do for us, and then us as owners putting a block in the way.
Yeah.
Not because like you're working too little, like you're working too hard, like you got to push back a little, like chill out. Like, what do you think is it that has allowed us to create that culture that has kind of brought these people to us, as you said, and allowed us to have these really great employees?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's brought those types of people to us. I guess it's kind of similar energies, maybe.
Yeah.
The universe is speaking in some way, shape, or form. But I really think you have probably more to do with that than I do. You are the one that's on the team meetings every week, involved more in the day to day. So from a motivation standpoint, I'd have to assume that really you are the driving force to that type of culture. Obviously I supplement and support it in the ways that I can. But I think that Dave is very similar to us in the sense that, right now he's laid up in bed for back issues, and man still wants to work 24/7. Like, it's just like you can't turn the switch off, and I get that. And it's a blessing and a curse. But I just I don't know what brought him to us. That's an interesting thing to think about, though.
It is, and I think about it a lot, and I think there's a part of what you said that's true in regards to like, listen, man, not to get all esoteric, as I said earlier in the podcast, but there is some truth to the law of attraction and what you attract. And I think that when we founded our business, we founded it on some core ethical principles. And I think that bears fruit. And I think that for the most part, you and I have both lived decent and moral lives. I often credit it to, my extensive work with at-risk youth. I don't have the typical investor path, man. Like I spent my very early 20s up until my 30s getting a master's degree, being broke, working with kids in a group home. So I'm like, maybe it's some of my good karma coming my way. Like we won't get into everything you've done, but you've done a lot of acts of service, and maybe that's our good karma.
Maybe.
Culture is also important too. And just, I think a thing that I will credit myself with, and I know you're of the same mind is this, is giving people the space to be themselves and have the autonomy to make decisions and be their own leaders. And I always say, seize and define your role, man. Mm-hmm. Like if you see something that I don't, run with it. I'll stop you when I think it's a waste.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. And this kind of goes, this next question kind of goes back into a question I asked earlier, but I was going to see if I get a little more specificity out of you. So when we started Vibe, it's funny because our first property was actually in Orchard Park, New York. It wasn't even in the Finger Lakes.
Yep. Still
we
running
got
strong today.
Our second property still is probably our second highest performing property in our portfolio, which is hilarious. We had no business getting that one that early in our career, but somebody just kind of believed in us and took that bet on us, which is great.
Branchport?
Yeah, like therapy.
Trying to think back that far.
We had nothing. We had no website, didn't have a shirt that said Vibe on it. Nothing. I had just a guy with a Facebook group.
Hey, we had our properties.
Yeah, that's true. We had some experience. What is the difference you see from going from 10 properties to now, once we onboard our back Rolodex, we're over 100 properties now, 100 doors, but very close to 100 properties. Do you see any main differences in your experience?
So I think that threshold, right? Like in terms of between 10 and 100, I don't really see that big of a difference. Like really at that point, the only thing it comes down to is systems and what you've done to put the right systems in place, whether it be teams, technology, communications, however you look at it. But the big thing would be the difference between 1 and 10. I think that's the stretch that's the hardest. Because when you first start out, you're trying to do everything yourself, and you get to a point, using an arbitrary number here, 5, but really 5 is really probably that threshold, honestly, where you realize if I'm going to get any bigger than this, I have to start creating the systems.
Yes.
That will allow me to operate this the way it needs to be operated without dropping quality, leaving things out that probably shouldn't be left out, or, falling to the wayside. Because really the hardest thing in our industry right now is, the boom of COVID and STR competition just got rampant.
Yes.
And the big push for, amenities, hot tubs now is because everybody and their mother is running an Airbnb.
Right.
So it's like, how are you standing out to the other people in your area, your operations? So, I think that the biggest difference is A, systems, but B, offerings, and how you're going to kind of tie those two together.
Yeah. It's interesting because I have the same take as you. I think that I feel much more pressure. And I was trying to explain this to somebody the other day, because I was like, I'm a 60 to 80 hour a week work guy, right? And it's like, I hear people, they go, I do 100 a week. And it's like, that's great. I wish I was like you and I could do an honest 100. I can't, but 60 to 80 is a good amount of work. Yeah. Like that's a lot. And ultimately, my work is easier now. My stress is way higher. I feel much more pressure, because now it's people put their trust in me and us at Vibe, like their failure is our failure. And these are a lot of regular people. And, a lot of them, like as a realtor now specialized in short-term rentals, most of them, I didn't actually buy the house with them. So it's not, I don't feel like that type of pressure, but we have that coming up where we have people that, trusted me to find them this investment property, and now we got to manage it. And I'm like, man, I got to deliver here,
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's, an interesting perspective that you still feel the pressure like that. And it makes sense now that after hearing that last part, because you did take on the extra, added entity of becoming a realtor, right? So, and it's funny too, because when we first started out,
you were the guy.
I was doing that because I had been a realtor before. Yeah. But I quickly realized that from a time perspective, I did not have the time to recertify, just get involved. And honestly, at the end of the day, it was probably the best move to push you into that direction because, well, now it's been very, a great opportunity for you. But from a personality standpoint, I mean, it took you however long to get me here. Like, I just don't have it in me anymore to go out and do the, shaking babies and rubbing hands thing. So, I understand the pressure because that's an added side of it for you in regards to trying to help the customers in that way. For me, I don't really I feel like the stress isn't there anymore for me because, well, I've always been and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I've been the side of the business where I'm like, listen, man, like people come and go. Like if they don't like it, if they don't like how it's being done, if they don't like how the results are, and we're trying our hardest and we're trying to do right by them and they're still not satisfied, that's not on us anymore.
Yeah.
Like we need to just move on and move past it. So like I try not to dwell on that stuff, which I think has really helped me kind of reduce the stress factor in this business.
For sure.
Things come and go. But yeah, to have that added side of being the realtor with everything too, I can't imagine that.
It's a lot, man. And you're definitely right. Like, you could teach a class in stoicism, whereas it's something that I have to consciously thrive for every day, where it's something for you, it's very organic. And for me, I feel everything really intensely, and it will affect me a lot, like those failures. I've gotten better at it with time, but yeah, that jump from 10 to 100 properties, again, it's like, I feel so much better now because now we have really great people filling those roles that are really doing good jobs. Like I always joke with them, like, listen, I've done your job, not as good as you, but I've done it, it's just a much worse version. So that's been really great. It's funny because when I started this interview, I didn't even really ask you, like, could you tell us, like, what is your role at Vibe? What do you do? And like, what's your proudest achievement or moment that you've had with us?
Every time somebody asks me that question, I feel like the scene in Office Space where it's like, what do you say you do here?
Dude, you feel that way? Look at me.
Well, I feel like I can clearly define your role better than I can define mine.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I'm kind of I feel like the best way to describe my role right now, besides being like, I deal with all the back end financials. I handle everything from, and really I shouldn't even say like a lot of it Cole does now, which is amazing. But from a high level, I just deal with like the taxes and the money and the accounting. On, the next level down, I deal with trying to support you guys and the team however best I can. Which as we've grown has been, not that much.
Yeah.
Everybody's been so excelling and proficient at their job that like I really haven't had to step in any way. And other than that, I feel like my other job is just to be the elusive second man.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that's a good description. And I think something that you left off is like the tech stack, and like we're figuring out the tech stack. And although we did end up switching our PMS, like you were
in the beginning, my role was much different. Now
exactly.
It's shaped into a different role, but
as it should. Like starting a business isn't the pursuit of creating a job for yourself. Right? Like that's not either of our long-term goals. It's like, I'm going to make this job for myself so I can do this for 40 hours a week. It's like, no, man, like you build the systems, as you said, you get the right people in place, you set vision, and you see where it goes, I think that's the move.
Trial and error.
Yeah, 100%. When you are going to buy a short-term rental, you are buying an investment property. And I appreciate that there's realtors in this space that want to help you with that. But what you really need is a specialist, right? When you work with Vibe and you work with me, short-term rentals is all I do. So there's not a tool or piece of technology in this space that we don't invest in. We have nationwide access to AirDNA. We have over 100 doors managed in the Finger Lakes region alone. We have key relationships with all of the best professionals in the space. I can tell you what to do with your property from start to finish, and then I can manage it for you if you'd like. I can walk you through the process of a cost segregation. A cost segregation study is one of the best tax shelters to exist, period. If you are not taking advantage of that tax shelter and you're investing in short-term rentals, you're really messing up. So when you consider investing in this game, consider the cost of not investing with somebody that specializes in this space. I'd be happy to do that for you. So what I want to ask you, JC, is what do you feel, and this is a hard question to answer, right? Because it's easy for us to be critical of ourselves and it's hard for us to kind of pat ourselves on the back. What do you feel is your best contribution to Vibe? Like what's something you've really brought to the table that you're proud of?
There's no one thing I can think of that I'm proud of bringing. Like, I would say it's more of a conglomerate of things, like being the person. when anybody asks me about our dynamic, right, I always tell people my like canned answer is Josh is the visionary. I'm the back end realist.
100%. I agree with
Josh is the one with this big dream, and I'm the one with like
bring it down to size.
Bringing it like the bounds down to the reality. So, with that, like, I think my biggest successful contribution is kind of like just being able to do all of the back end stuff. Like, cause correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if you had any type of entrepreneurial startup before this, but like, this isn't my first business. So like, I knew systematically like certain things that need to be in place, whether forming the LLC, finding the right insurance, doing, X, Y, and Z. So I really feel like that's kind of where, my biggest accomplishment has been kind of starting everything from the back end.
Yeah, agreed. It was my first like serious entrepreneurial endeavor. And it's funny because as you mentioned our roles, I always had that entrepreneur inside of me and it got stifled by the American education system. But I had a best friend growing up and we'd always have our little, business schemes. And it was the same exact way you just described how we operate would be the same way I would describe how my friend and I operated as kids. I was the visionary. I come with the big plan, the big idea. I start talking to people, bring people in, and he was the one, making sure everything's good and brought down to size. So I think that's great. I would say I'll also answer that question for myself. I think starting our Facebook group, Upstate New York Airbnb Investors, is my best accomplishment because it really got our name out there.
Yeah.
I
would agree.
Positioned us as kind of like leaders in the space, and it allowed us to kind of set the conversation a little bit. And it's proven to be very valuable, which has been nice.
I still have a very good memory of you kind of pitching me the idea at the cabin on this Facebook thing, and I remember just being like, "Listen, man, I don't know how well that's going to go, but." I'm all for it. Let's do it. Just don't expect me. If you need videos and stuff, don't call me.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that has really kind of shaped Vibe from its like core foundation.
Yeah, no doubt. And like the way that like my initial logic on it was like, look, man, if we're looking at like network television, let's say your average show has 300,000 people viewing it and you want to sell this pillow. It's like, well, what is your expected demographic out of that 300,000? It's like, maybe 5,000. I mean, pillows obviously can be more, but let's pretend.
Yeah.
If I was paying 10 grand for commercial space to possibly hit my demographic of 5,000 people, why shouldn't I try to build out something that hits 5,000 of my potential demographic of clients for free? And it took time, but it's been a real blessing, man. It's been great.
Well, and again, I say from like, building the foundation of Vibe, like it goes right back to like trying to help those and serve others, before trying to make like at any point we probably could have made some money in some way, shape or form off of that group. Right. But it's never been about that. It's more supposed to have been building a culture that has really, kind of geared things towards Vibe, but also B, like helping others that are in this space trying to figure it out for themselves. Like we tried to create the calculator, we tried to do the meetups, tried to do, so many things. So yeah, it's really, again, I commend you.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. It was a lot more work than I think a lot of people realized. There's a lot that went into that. Yeah. It all looks real easy now, but
can't say I'm envious of
that. Yeah, it was a lot, man. And as natural and organic as it may seem for me to do stuff like this, and it's definitely putting my skills to the highest and best use. I don't particularly love it either, man. Like I'm a relatively quiet guy behind the scenes. I get really anxious before going out to like meetups and stuff like that. I like to be in the house with my girlfriend on a Sunday with some food and the fire going, man. That's my vibe. I don't want to be out at the club on Saturday night.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty chill guy, but again, just it's incumbent upon us to put our skills to their highest and best use. And I think we're both doing that in our business.
Absolutely. And
which is great.
It's funny too, because like as I was sitting here talking, I was having a conversation with Cole prior to this interview, and
JC Jr. It's so funny.
Yeah, I don't know. He's probably far succeeded me at this point.
Yeah.
But no, we were having a conversation on mentality. He was just bringing up some, past life stuff on my end. And, the big thing I was kind of getting to with him was just like, it's easy to keep such like a high level of mentality in terms of like motivation or whatever you're trying to seek, right? If you're surrounding yourself with the right people, because like-minded people always think like, the whole concept of, you are the combination of the 5 people you hang out with. And I really think like going back to culture in our business and our employees again, like everybody's so like-minded. So it's like almost becomes easy to really thrive, not only the business, but like the culture, because everybody has the same mindset.
Yeah.
We don't have that negative Nancy in the group.
No, we won't.
So it's just like, it almost makes my job easy.
Yeah, 100%. Like we'll root that out so fast. Like I'd rather just do the work myself than have like that negativity in the space.
And to answer your question from earlier that I don't think I ever really answered in terms of like, what do I look for in these people that we try to hire is like, I don't care about skills. Like I could teach a monkey to do something that is needed within our business. Like, you could have all the experience in the world, but if culturally after 15 minutes, I don't feel like we're going to be on the same page or like, we're just not going to jive. Like that's really the deciding factor for me. And I remember coming to the interview with Dave. I was there maybe 5 minutes. And I was in a hurry too, but at the same time, I just kind of looked at you and I was like, whatever you decide, I'm good with. Like,
yeah,
I've can tell right away what this what Dave's all about.
Yeah.
And Cole, I knew from college, not so much like one-on-one, but we knew of each other and like surrounded a lot of the same people. So I knew from a mentality where he was, and he also was kind of like starting up his own thing at the time. So like I knew he was a go-getter.
Yeah.
I remember when we were hiring for that round and we interviewed a lot of people, and from the very get-go, I was just like, dude, I'm telling you, that's our guy right there.
I agreed with you. And I don't know if you remember my concern with Cole, our operations manager at Vibe, was always like, get this guy to stick around long term, but we've been able to do that. And I anticipate we will keep doing that. That's the goal.
Yeah.
But you kind of crafted my thinking on that a little bit too, where it's like, I got to be realistic about, I think that's something we actually do a good job at Vibe. Like, listen, just give me your honest 40 hours. I don't want Vibe to be your life. I just want you to care when you're here enough. Right? Like, I'm not expecting you to care about Vibe more than your family. I'm not expecting you to care about, Vibe more than your personal life. Just like, give me my honest 40, give half of a shit about what we want and what we're doing. And I'm going to be pretty damn happy. And we've gotten that. So when it comes to short-term rental management on the whole, right? Because you'd be surprised how many phone calls I get. Just like I'm constantly like posting stuff. My number's really accessible. So I get cold calls a lot of people like trying to start off like a co-hosting business, call me, ask for advice, ask me if I have a mastermind, stuff like that. What do you think you could tell these people, like, that's the most surprising thing about our business that they might not know happens behind the scenes?
Oof. My answer might be different than what you're thinking, but really it comes down to the most surprising thing for me is the money management, right? A lot of people think they can just buy a house, and it's funny, I'm referencing now your Facebook post, but like slap a cow picture up on the wall.
I stand by the cow picture.
And make 60 grand a year. It's like, that's not how it's done. Like you really have to spend the money to create the experience that's going to make this a successful thing. And I think that's really been the most surprising thing is like, like me and you know that, right? I'm the guy that's going to bring you down to reality. Like if you want X, you gotta do Y.
Yeah. So 100%, and something that has been, luckily I've had so many of these conversations and we've been in such a privileged position at Vibe to launch hundreds of properties. Not many people get that opportunity.
Yeah.
So we constantly get to see with our systems, which we know are the best,
how property launches go and the operations standpoint, but also how they go with clients and client care and onboarding. And something I've learned to kind of root out is like when I tell a client, like, you know, it would be a really great thing, a game room, right? And then they call me 2 weeks later and go, Josh, check out my game room. And they put a ping pong table and a foosball table they got off of Craigslist in their garage. Mm-hmm. And I go, it's not hurting you. Maybe it might, but it's not doing you a ton of favors, right? Like that's not what I'm referring to. So just being a lot more clear with what that looks like has been something that I've been trying to do that I think will be helpful and bear some serious fruit.
That's situational, I guess. It all depends on where they're at. First and foremost, real estate. Make sure you buy it right the first time.
Yes.
Because location matters as any sector of real estate you're in. But really, like that's a make or break, because you could have the best property in the world, but if no one's going to that area, what's the point?
It blows my mind. Like, and I've seen this with past Vibe clients where it's like, look, man, I'm a realtor now and you know what I do. I manage short-term rentals. That's it. We have nationwide access to AirDNA. We have in-house revenue management. I do in-house revenue management. We have over 100 comp properties. This is what we do. This is my specialty. I'm an expert in this space. And they still want to try to be cute to maybe save a little money on commission or make their offer more attractive. Like, I'm not using a realtor. And they'll come to me and ask me things. I'm like, it's a nice looking house. Like, I'm not your realtor, man. I'm a fiduciary. Yeah. You want to work with me as a realtor, I'm going to help you out. Trust me. Otherwise, you're on your own. Call me when it's time to manage, and I'll tell you what I really think. Yeah. And it's been really disheartening because it's like, man, you got to be really, really freaking careful. We have seen a lot of people do really, really well, mm-hmm. and we have seen a lot of people not do good, like really lose tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it doesn't have to be me. Like, there's other people, even in the Finger Lakes, that I would trust.
No matter what you're doing, if you don't have the right people to help you, you're doing a disservice to yourself.
Yeah.
And you can try to save money as much as you want, but really it might cost you more in the end. But I will say too, also, I'm very glad to hear that was your answer, because going back to kind of my role in our relationship is like, I've always harped to you, with some of these things is like liability.
Oh, I know.
So the minute we start telling people like, oh yeah, like if being the expert now, or deemed expert, if somebody asks you for your opinion carries weight. Mm-hmm. If it goes wrong, you're to blame.
Yes.
Especially from a business standpoint. So it's just like, we really need to be understandable in our roles of, a management company, a realtor, and like not speaking out of turn, I guess.
I know. And it was something you harped on early on. And I was always somebody that, like, now I'll definitely claim the expert, right? I got my 10,000 hours. That's what I do for a profession.
It took you a while.
I'll take it, right? But I
gave it to you early on.
Yeah. I was very careful with that title early on. When people, you're the Josh, the Airbnb expert guy. I'm like, no. Like, I still got a lot to learn. But you were definitely really early with the, like, be careful with numbers. Like, be real careful. And when I talk about like the work, and I try to kind of, ruminate on this a little bit earlier, and do the best job, but like that pressure, that's a big part of the pressure where it's like, man, now I've like co-signed on something.
Yeah, I can completely understand that.
Yeah, it's tough.
Because especially from, our viewpoint, the data could say one thing today and it could completely change tomorrow. We could have, a place that's going to make $160,000 and then town throws some regulation in there tomorrow, and all of a sudden you can't even run an Airbnb there. So
it's very scary.
You're constantly just fighting this battle of what ifs.
Yeah.
So,
something I wanted to discuss with you to just kind of get away from the short-term rentals, because short-term rentals is only one part of it. What we're really talking about here is business and entrepreneurship. Because ultimately, once we create these systems and build this thing, it can be applied similarly in other businesses. Tell me a little bit more about like your mindset, because you have two businesses now. You don't mind me mentioning your other business?
As long as you don't mind.
No, of course not. So, JC is the founder of Gateway Dumpsters, and you were the owner and operator of Gateway Dumpsters before we started Vibe. I actually tried to buy into it early with you because it's funny when you mentioned the early Wegmans meetings because
it's funny. I forgot that you had mentioned that too.
yeah, I'm Josh. It was like AA style, right?
Yep.
Like, I'm Josh. I want to invest in Airbnbs. I'm thinking about starting a dumpster rental business. I'm JC. Thinking about doing Airbnbs. I have a dumpster rental business.
It's funny. I forgot that you had mentioned that too.
Yeah. So I was like, man, who is this guy?
Well, I can't say from my perspective, it probably looks as well as it does from your perspective, but every day's a battle, man. I don't know. I just keep telling myself to get up and put one shoe on and put the other shoe on and keep moving forward. It's not really, I think it really comes down to how we were raised, right? Like I was put into a lot of different situations growing up. Like New York, I think is, 15th state I've lived in. Like I've traveled the world. I've lived in different countries. I've done X, Y, and Z. Like really, I don't think somebody can experience all that and not have a strong mentality when it comes to trying to succeed. From that perspective, I really think that like, that's really what's helped me the most in terms of trying to really start these things up. And not to move into a different direction here, but like it's funny you mentioned that too, because like when it comes to entrepreneurship, it's taken a while for me to really kind of wrap my head around this, but I am not that guy that like wants to, like you said earlier, start a business, but then give myself a job. I love creating things. Like my first business was woodworking. I made furniture, I made stuff and sold it. I just loved building something. And that really kind of was a similar kind of viewpoint when I look at businesses too. I love building businesses. I hate the long-term operation of businesses.
Same. Yeah.
Which, has been a blessing in the sense that like it has pushed me to really like push you and push us to hire and essentially fire ourselves in certain ways. Cause I know that like, if I'm 5 years down the road and still doing the same thing we were doing year 2, I'm done.
Yeah. Agreed. 100%. Yeah.
I remember when we first decided to hire Dave too, there was almost a tipping point for me, and my wife can attest to this more so than you probably. Cause I tried to hide as much, but there were days where I looked at my phone and I was thinking about calling you, just being like, dude, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I can't do it. Like we are at a point where if we don't hire somebody, I'm going to lose it.
Yeah.
So again, it's a battle.
You had a rough, because the thing with you, and by the way, I don't mind going a different direction. We got about 10 minutes here. Like, let's talk about entrepreneurship a little bit.
I can probably do till about 45.
Beautiful. Let's talk about entrepreneurship, because I'm really big on like this mindset stuff. I remember that time, and I remember hearing it in your voice, and it was hard because I didn't want to sound like the nagging wife, like asking you for something, but it was like, dude, you got a whole other business and a toddler, like dude, I can't do.
That's why my wife can probably attest to it.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, granted, like I got my struggles too, right? Like my life's not perfect. I got a full-time job at the time I was doing all this, but like the kid factor is huge.
It is, yeah.
And I remember hearing it in your voice sometimes where you were just like, something's got to give. And I'm glad it did, because I think that hiring people was the smartest thing we could ever do. When I was at the STR Wealth Conference, something that blew my mind was the amount of people I talked to that didn't have in-house maintenance. And I'm like, what gives?
Yeah.
Like, do you see a scenario where you could operate the STR management business without in-house maintenance?
No. And to that point, like if I could financially figure out how to make it worth our time, I'd make cleaning in-house too.
Right.
But it just like, it doesn't make sense on so many levels. But yeah, like, and Dave, I'm sure probably touched on this in his interview with you, but like stuff happens at the drop of a dime here. And it's never at the time of the day or month or year that you need it to happen.
Right.
And if you don't have the person to get over there and deal with it right away, like it could turn into bigger issues for you,
Right.
both from the guest or an owner or even the house. My mind first goes to like flooding or something. Like if I can't get a plumber over there within 20 minutes, as you probably went to a couple of typhoons on Canandaigua Lake.
Oh yeah.
Last minute, but it's just like, I don't know how you operate a business without having those people in-house.
Well,
because no one's ever going to do the job that you need them to do if they're not working for you.
I've put a ton of thought into this. This is the type of stuff when I'm just kind of driving in my car, I'm thinking about. And like, when I think about the utility that our company offers, I truly believe that the future of this space is in-house, boots on the ground, regional expertise. Like, that's it. Like, when I look at like co-hosting and stuff, I'm like, listen, man, a lot more people making a lot more money than me doing it. Good for them. I don't see the long-term utility in that. I really don't. Like, I think to take a 20% margin of someone's profit, you really got to be offering a pretty good service. You got to be offering a lot, and that requires kind of in-house. But I kind of wanted to get back to mentality, because like something that I've been thinking about a lot, and I think about this with you because I know that you have some pretty restrictive like eating habits. And I notice, man, it's wild, right?
Like my worst days are like, and it's, I'm turning 40. So my body, much to my fault, is catching up with me pretty quickly, because some days I wake up and I feel my body feels like it's 60. So like fighting those injuries, especially in the morning when because my routine is like, I'll get up at 5:30, I'll go work out, get on the computer, do everything I need to do, and then hopefully be on the road by, 7:30. The mornings that really mess my entire day up is when I wake up at 5:30, look at my phone, see an emergency, and then I don't get to work out. I don't eat breakfast. I don't take the time to do the things for myself that really set my day up.
Yeah.
And I'm out the door and it's just like this fight or flight stress mentality the rest of the day.
Yes.
And I get home and, I really try to make an effort to really decompress and as they say, hang your day up at the door to go deal with my child and not freak out on him, or be the best husband I can to my wife and help her out of the house, and not just kind of sit there in this,
catatonic state. I know. Dude.
So yeah, to your question, you're it's everything. And I don't know if that's going to be the same for every person, but every person that holds that value to how they operate, I think that would be a kind of a non-negotiating factor for their day.
100%. And I got to be honest with you, man. If I were having a conversation about starting another business and I was meeting with some potential partners and they sat down at the meeting table and busted out a bag of McDonald's at 2 p.m, I'm probably not going to want to partner with them. Call me judgmental, but it's dog, I love a Mickey D's burger now and again at 8 p.m. at night before I go to bed. And I know that's not really great either health-wise. That's the worst time.
Yeah.
But still, it's dude, you're fueling your body for your day. Man, my best days, 100%. Get up for number one, I'm in my routine. When I deviate from my routine, I do not do good.
Yeah.
Get up, drink my water, take my vitamins, have my scoop of creatine. I'm different than you. I don't start my day with a workout, but I like to do whatever is going to take the most creative energy I have first in the morning. What are my most important tasks? I'm at my computer a lot, and it's funny because I just started really clocking a lot. I'm sitting down a lot. So I'm just kind of cruising, getting to my most important tasks and working through the day, and then wrap my day up with a 6:37 p.m. workout, hit the shower, eat my food, go to bed. I don't touch a carb until nighttime typically when I'm having my best days. It's black coffee, water, chicken, rice. That's it. If I could have the self-discipline to do that my last meal of the day too, I think I'd be I don't know, man, I'd be on to the next level, but I'm not there yet. But when it comes to, again, having this entrepreneur mindset, and you mentioned how you like building things. It's funny because we are two very different people, but I think that is the area we're most alike. I'm similar in that regard. I just like to build them from a different side.
Yeah.
I'm not
like I got fired from like at least 3 jobs when I was a kid. I'm not a good employee. I'm not an exceptionally good manager. Like I'm not someone that, I don't know that I'm high enough in like conscientiousness to like really pull that off and like be like her, like Mr. I don't know, like manager guy. You know that guy? Like we all know that guy or girl. It's just like, that's what they're made for.
Yep.
Like get them in that position. They'll do great. Don't ask them to create something that takes like innovative thought, right?
You better hand them an SOP or something.
Yes, exactly. 100%. And that's awesome. It's great that those people are there. But when you think about businesses going forward, are you like content where you're at now? Like you got Gateway, you got Vibe, but like as the years go on and presuming both of these things will be a success, which I'd imagine they will be, is your goal to kind of start fading off into the sunset and spending more time doing things you love, or do you consider starting other businesses?
You know, that's an ever evolving answer, unfortunately, because again, going back to mentality, like I just cannot envision a world where like I'm retired. Like I don't, like you talk about doing 60, 80 hour work weeks. Like I don't even know how many hours a week I work, because like everything to me is work at this point.
Yeah.
I thrive off of that, like, and almost to an unhealthy standpoint sometimes, because like my life revolves around projects. I can't just like sit at my house. Like if I'm at my house, even I'm looking at every single thing, and everything looks like a project to me. Like gotta do this, gotta do that, gotta do that.
Yeah.
And you know, my wife on the other hand, just kind of like, you know, is the opposite, which is good and frustrating for me, because like she doesn't understand how a person can operate. You know, I blame it on my ADHD, I guess. But, you know, from the thought process of like starting another business, I don't think I would turn down the opportunity if it worked in a way that I wanted to kind of move with my life. But really in terms of like these 2 businesses, I don't really see myself like walking off into the sunset, but I do see myself trying to be a little bit more protective of my time, per se, much like yourself. Cause like my biggest issue now is like, I go on vacation now, and it's just like, I can't enjoy it the way I used to, because my mind, I can't turn off. Can't turn off. And, that scares me, especially now with my son being at the age he is. Cause like, you know,
most formative years.
I want to be present. I want to be the dad that like is actually building that childhood for him that he deserves. And I can't do that if I'm not, you know, not in that moment and I'm thinking about other shit.
100%.
So I think that's where I'm really trying to like figure out the next steps for me, is like, how do I operate within the needs of my businesses or any other venture that comes up, but also really put more focus on me and trying to define who I am in my free time more so than I am now, you know, because my free time is non-existent.
Yeah, because I've heard you talk about your wife, who's one of the smartest, most lovely people I've ever met. Like, I don't think she's ever said anything dumb. Like anytime like we've ever had to go to her for some piece of advice, she's always been spot on.
Yep.
Like every time. She came up with our name for our company, right?
I believe so.
I think that was her. Yeah. Like she's just great person, great young man as a son. And you talk about them a lot, which is great, but like, what about you? You know, like you said, you got to acknowledge yourself, man. Like, and what makes you happy, because you being happy and having that time for yourself is what's going to make everybody in your orbit better.
Yeah.
I know what's worked for me, man. And this is like way easier said than done. It's like, oh, thanks, Captain Obvious. But like, again, like that, and I break this rule pretty frequently, but like 8 p.m. is like my cutoff, man. Like I'll get to it in the morning unless it's emergency. I will work later than that sometimes, but I try to make that kind of my cutoff. And Sundays, man, like you got to have that sacred day. Like it's biblical. Like, and I'll tell you, I work Sundays too, typically. I'll do a few hours in the morning, but I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
Because it's something I want to do. Like I'm either like creating content that I find fun, or like working on a blog post, or just having a conversation with somebody. I don't mind doing stuff like that. But don't talk to me afternoon on a Sunday. Yeah. Like I'm done. Like just don't. Like, and I'm not like you. Like I will sit on the couch for 6 hours and I'll love it. Like, because I don't do that during the week.
To me, that's hard earned R&R, man.
And don't get me wrong, like I've already started to work on that for me. Like, I mean, especially with like Gateway, like I used to work every weekend. Like somebody calls me and needs a dumpster on Saturday or Sunday morning. I was like, yeah, I'll be there. I got it. Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, can I wait till Monday? Cause I got other things I have to do. Like, sorry.
Yeah.
So I've definitely become a little bit more protective of my time and really trying to figure out how to increase that is going to be my long-term goal, I should say.
Good. Yeah. Because I've always kind of viewed you as somebody that when you hit that fork in the road of choosing between your quality of life and your happiness and making more money, I always viewed you as someone that's going to take that veer toward quality of life and happiness. And, we won't get into like politics, but I think we both have a lot of like similar concerns about the future the world might be headed. And like, I know something like one of my big goals is like, I want to own a like plot of land somewhere, maybe in like Central America or something, like, you know what I mean? So like, that's part of the reason I'm kind of driving now. I'm 36, I'm hustling. I'm like, dog, I got to set myself up.
Everybody has that dream of a homestead until they realize how much work it is.
Yeah, exactly. But tell you, man, if I got like enough money sitting in a bank account and my job all day is to like, I don't know, go feed the roosters and like put some shingles on the roof, whatever, like I think I could do it. And I used to really have, because like, it's so funny where I'm somebody that like, I move on from things. Like when I was a kid, it was a landscaping business, right? I was Josh, the landscaper guy. People in town knew me. I worked on farms and stuff. And I remember I was probably like 17, 18, swinging a hoe. Like I'd been working since I was 12. And I was like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to be a scholar, right? It's done. Never did anything landscaping again. Started going to college. Went to college. I'm broke. I don't like this. I'm going to flip houses. Did it, right? Started flipping houses. Flip 6 or 7, successfully burned out of all of them, one with you. And then it was short-term rentals. So I'm like, I'll never step away from short-term rentals completely, right? Because this Vibe's my baby. Like I love Vibe, but it's just, again, redefining the role. And I think something both of us have to give ourselves credit with is like, when we say like stepping back, like we're stepping back when the business is in a better place than we left it. Mm-hmm. Like we're not stepping back out of laziness or it's like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's like, is this better than I was doing? Yes.
Sometimes it's stepping back out of necessity.
Right. Exactly.
You need to let it breathe. And, I think that's been kind of the position for us over the last like year and a half, 2 years now, especially with our team. It's kind of like stepping back and not being, and again, going back to our cultures, like we kind of created a culture where we're not like a demanding boss, at least I hope. We've really created something that's more like, I don't care how it gets done, as long as it gets done, however it fits into your time.
Right.
I will respect that.
Right.
And, I think that's been a really, a cool thing to watch over the last couple of years.
Yeah. Watching people like grow into their roles. And like, I know you and I both kind of said like, look, man, I'm not going to consequence your competency. If you are a person that can do 40 hours of work in 10 and all your tasks are done and that's how your week goes, like, I'm not going to hawk you.
Yeah.
Maybe if you do it every week, I'm going to start asking some questions.
Yeah.
But, great. So let's do one final question. So I know you've already been generous with your time here.
I was going to say really quick from an entrepreneur standpoint, listening to you and your answer there, it doesn't surprise me. And like, I forget if the question was asked earlier in terms of entrepreneurship and like what makes a good entrepreneur maybe, but the one thing that really resonated with me was like you were willing to pivot and try something different. Like for myself, like I've worked corporate, like I made a lot of money. I was in tech sales, like, but at the end of the day, like I wasn't happy. You can give me all the money in the world, but if I don't have the time to spend it, then like, what's the point? And I remember the day I looked at my wife and I was just like, I think I'm going to start a business. Do something different. I'm going to pivot. This was during COVID time. And, obviously she had a reservation, from a financial standpoint. I was just like,
yeah,
but she's always accepted, but never understood, how easy it is for me to try something new.
Yes.
And I think that's something that me and you have in common is like, I don't care if I fail. Like that's the whole point of an entrepreneur. Like we set out in this business to create something of value and, hopefully it pays us. But at the end of the day, like that takes time and no one ever succeeds at that usually their first time. Like sometimes it's 5 businesses, 6 businesses. Like every single venture you just mentioned is probably another business for you. So
Right.
it's funny to like really kind of see the commonality with entrepreneurs and like how, in my mind, the biggest like line and where like they all have this one thing in common is their willingness to try new things or fail at them and just keep moving and do the next thing.
100%, man. Like I've talked to like, I'm somebody like, I like to work with like younger men. Like I'm 36 now. And when I see, I'm the master of giving unsolicited advice, right? Especially with young men, because I'm like, man, I remember what that was like for me. It was a really awkward time. And it's like, even with like women, like they'll like, if somebody asks me a question, it's like, oh, you're so afraid of like getting rejected. Like, how are you going to find a girlfriend if you're afraid to just go say hi? And she says, no, it's going to ruin the next 3 weeks of your life. Like business is a lot the same way. You gotta, be willing to do new things and try new things. And if you fail, that's okay. I've fully expected to fail and I really haven't yet, but it's going to happen eventually. And when that happens, I'm hoping I like take that on in a good headspace and just go, here it is. Yeah. The failure I've always expected. So JC, any departing words of wisdom for us?
No, it's been a pleasure to do business with you, and I look forward to the future of Vibe.
Likewise, man. Josh Briner, co-owner of Vibe Short-Term Rental Management, the mysterious, not mysterious anymore, JC Buckwick, the other founder. If you ever have any questions in regards to short-term rentals, we're your guys. Hope you have a good day.